If you can hear my dog panting and shuffling around and running into my tripod in the back of this episode, I apologize. Hello, my name is Jess Wagstrom, professional dabbler, and today we are dabbling in tarot. Over the years, I have dabbled pretty hard in some woo-woo sort of things. As I've gotten older, I've shed a lot of my woo, but one thing has kind of stuck around as something I enjoy tinkering with from time to time. That's the tarot. I recently got this Prismavisions tarot deck, which is flippin' awesome and beautiful. All of the suit cards, you can line them up. Am I doing that right? No. You can line up the suit cards, like this is the 9 of Swords and the 10 of Swords, to join and make this big kind of story mural thing. It's really cool. I really like cards in general. When I was a kid, I always enjoyed playing card games with standard decks of playing cards. I just like holding little pieces of cardboard that each have individual meanings, and when I'm holding a tarot deck, I kind of feel like I'm holding the secrets of the universe. Ha ha ha! They're all inside this box. But I mean, the real truth about tarot cards is that they're just ink on cardstock. They can't actually tell you your future. So you might ask yourself, what use does a rational, skeptical person have for tarot cards? What business do we have even looking at the things if it's really obvious that they aren't supernatural? The answer is, it's because our brains are wired to notice patterns. Our brains are like, I gotta make sense of this. What does this remind me of? What box can I stick it in? And this fits into the tarot because each of these fancy little cards represents an archetypal facet of human life. You have either experienced or have knowledge of someone else experiencing these common everyday things: change, life, death, renewal, happiness, sadness, hard work, suffering, etc, etc, etc. And so even if you don't believe that the tarot cards have any supernatural powers, they can still be a really fun and interesting tool to use to kind of help you dig into something you're struggling with or a challenge you're facing. Laying down some cards can help you shift your perspective and get a new take on things. So you know how when you're struggling with a problem, you might sit down with a friend of yours and talk to them like, hey, I'm having this issue and it's driving me nuts! And your friend might be like, have you considered X, Y, and Z? And you're like, nope, because I was too busy considering A, B, and C. And then you can think about what your friend said and decide if any of that is relevant to helping you actually solve your situation. It kind of pulls you out of this crazy brain state that you're in and hands you something new to chew on. But like the tarot cards, your friend can't predict the future. You have control over what you do with the information that they give you. So a tarot reading is kind of like talking to a friend, except the friend is your cards and your brain making associations by looking at pretty pictures. In a reading, you're laying down cards that have assigned meanings and you're putting them in spreads, and each spread has a position that has an additional assigned meaning. And then you free associate what that card with that meaning in that position with that meaning might mean to you in your current situation. But it's important to remember that all of these ideas are coming from you. So once you've gotten your cards down and you've done some free associating, the next step is to think of some actions you could take based on the ideas that these cards have turned up for you. Say you're trying to buy a new house, and in the spread that you're doing, you have a position that you've assigned to mean possible problems, and you draw the Ace of Swords in that position. So the Ace of Swords is traditionally a card of truth and clarity, but you've just drawn it in this problems position. So then you start to think, well, what problems might I have with truth and clarity? You might be struggling with getting clear on all the information that you've gathered regarding different houses, or you might be concerned that your realtor isn't telling you the whole truth about something. You just kind of brainstorm these ideas and then you think to yourself, does this seem true for me? Is this resonating? You can also make connections based on the imagery on the card. So it's this big sword that's just being thrust out at you. Maybe you feel like you're just fighting this huge battle and you really need this weapon to help you fight, this metaphorical sword. In the future, when you're coming up against the struggle, you can imagine being handed this weapon that's just gonna help you fight through all the problems. So when you're doing a tarot reading, even as a rational, skeptical, non-supernatural woo-woo person, you can still get something out of it by looking at the patterns, looking at the imagery, and trying to free associate does this feel true? Does this resonate? It's like using a journaling prompt to kickstart a free writing session, which you can actually use the cards as journaling prompts too if you wanted. You're giving yourself the chance to come up with solutions you might not have otherwise come up with. So if you've ever wanted to play with tarot cards and have been kind of put off by the woo-woo factor, try it from the perspective that everything that's coming up is just a free association. And that's it. I hope that you found this video helpful or interesting. If you have any questions or comments whatsoever, please leave them in the comments. My name is Jess, and today we were dabbling in tarot, but who knows what the next video could be about. I hope you are having a beautiful day, and I will see you the next time I make a video. Goodbye!